Success is a curious thing. Everyone wants it, but very few understand where it hides. People think success shows up in the spotlight, in the applause, in the trophies, in the grand achievements. But the truth is, success doesn't start on the stage. It starts in the quiet. It starts in the moments when no one sees you, when no one is clapping, when no one is paying attention. That's where the seeds are planted, long before the harvest ever appears. The question is, what do you do when no one is watching? What choices do you make when there's no one there to impress, no one there to judge, no one there to reward you? Those are the moments that define who you are and ultimately how far you'll go. Because character, discipline, and integrity, they don't grow in public. They grow in private. Most people want the results of success without the responsibility of private effort. They want the recognition without the repetition. They want the applause without the hours of quiet work that no one will ever notice. But life doesn't work that way. Life pays you in proportion to the unseen effort you invest when the lights are off. You can't fake the foundation. You can't perform your way past your preparation. Success has a strange formula. It's not dramatic. It's not glamorous. It's consistent. It's honest. It's quiet. When you make the right decisions over and over again in the dark, the light will eventually find you. But when you neglect the small things because you think they don't matter, the big things start to fall apart. I once heard a saying, the true test of a man's character is what he does when no one is watching. That test applies not only to morality, but to mastery. If you want to be great at anything, your work, your craft, your leadership, your life, you have to practice greatness in private long before the world ever calls you great. You can't wait until the opportunity shows up to get ready. You have to stay ready. Preparation is what turns ordinary moments into extraordinary outcomes. When you stay consistent in your habits, your mindset, and your values, you build a kind of internal strength that no one can take from you. Success is built like a brick wall, one small, invisible act of discipline stacked on another. Most people quit because the early stages of success are invisible. They can't see the progress yet. They can't feel the results yet. They think nothing's happening. But something is happening. It's happening inside you. The discipline you build today becomes the strength you rely on tomorrow. Think about it when an athlete trains before dawn. No crowd, no cameras, no applause. That's where championships begin. When a writer sits alone at the desk day after day refining their craft, that's where bestsellers are born. When a salesperson studies late into the night, improving their pitch, understanding their clients, that's where breakthroughs happen. You can't see the growth in the moment, but it's there. Quiet progress hidden from view. The irony of success is that the world only celebrates the result, but it's the process that truly matters. The crowd cheers when you win, but they weren't there for the lonely hours of preparation. They see the final performance, but not the countless rehearsals. They see the confidence, but not the doubt you fought through. They see the reward, but not the routine that built it. So the real question becomes, can you be faithful to the process when the promise hasn't yet appeared? Can you stay committed when there's no praise, no reward, and no visible progress? Because that's the real test. That's where discipline is born, not in public accountability, but in private responsibility. It's easy to be disciplined when others are watching. It's easy to be enthusiastic when there's applause. But when it's just you, no cameras, no validation, no recognition, will you still do the right thing? That's where real success starts. The truth is, everyone gets 24 hours a day. The difference isn't in time, it's in attention. What do you do with your hours when no one is keeping score? Those who use their quiet hours wisely gain an invisible advantage. They build habits, momentum, and confidence that compound over time. While others sleep, they sow. While others waste time, they invest it. And when the time comes for opportunity, they're ready. There's an old saying, you can't cheat the grind. You can pretend for a while, but the truth will show up eventually. Your results will always tell the truth about your preparation. You might fool people for a moment, but you can't fool life. Life rewards those who do the right thing consistently, whether or not anyone notices. Sometimes you'll work for weeks, months, even years, and it will feel like no one cares. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder if the effort is worth it. You'll think about cutting corners, taking shortcuts, or just giving up. But that's exactly when you need to remind yourself. Success is hidden in what you do when no one is watching. The invisible effort always turns visible in time. Everything worthwhile is built slowly. You don't plant a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it, and you trust the process. The same goes for success. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're watering the seed. Every time you show up when you could have stayed home, you're nurturing the roots. Every time you act with integrity when no one will ever know, you're protecting your future harvest. Let's talk about integrity for a moment. Integrity isn't just about honesty. It's about wholeness. It means your private actions match your public image. It means you don't act one way when people are around and another way when they're not. Integrity is doing the right thing even when there's no reward, no recognition, no audience. It's saying, I will hold myself to the highest standard, not because someone is watching, but because I am. That's where confidence comes from. Not from pretending to be perfect, but from knowing you've done the work when it counted. When you keep promises to yourself, you build trust with yourself. And when you trust yourself, you walk differently. You speak differently. You show up differently. You carry a quiet power that no one can fake because it's built on truth. Have you ever noticed that the most confident people aren't the loudest? They don't need to prove themselves because they know what they've done when no one was looking. Their strength isn't in their words. It's in their work. Their confidence isn't in their performance. It's in their preparation. The world is full of people who want to look successful, but very few who want to be successful. The difference is in the unseen work. The ones who become great are the ones who are willing to do the work that no one celebrates. They practice in silence. They prepare in solitude. They invest in themselves when no one else believes in them. And that's what makes them ready when opportunity finally knocks. I've seen people sabotage their success because they only perform for the audience. They only work hard when someone is watching. But here's the truth. If you only perform when you're being watched, you'll always be limited by other people's attention. You'll never develop the strength that comes from self-discipline. Discipline is freedom. It's the ability to control your actions rather than being controlled by your moods. Anyone can work hard when they feel like it, but successful people work hard even when they don't. They don't let feelings dictate their effort. They let principles guide them. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. And habits are formed in the quiet. Every small act of consistency adds up. The habits you form in private will determine the results you achieve in public. Every time you stay up late to finish that extra page, every time you get up early to study your craft, every time you resist the easy path in favor of the right one, you're shaping your future. You're building a foundation that can handle success when it finally arrives. Because success will test you. If you get it before you're ready, it will crush you. But if you've done the work in the dark, you'll have the strength to handle the light. Think about a tree. The stronger the roots underground, the taller the tree can grow above ground. But roots are invisible. No one admires them. No one praises them. Yet they hold everything together. Your roots, your habits, your values, your discipline are invisible too. But they hold your success together. Some people chase the fruit and ignore the roots. They want quick success. They want recognition without preparation. But when the storm comes, and it always does, they fall. The ones who stand tall are the ones who built deep roots in private. They were consistent when it didn't matter to anyone else. So, don't be discouraged if no one sees your effort right now. The world may not notice your progress, but life keeps score in its own way. Every bit of effort counts. Every small decision compounds. Every private victory moves you closer to public success. When you look at someone successful, remember that what you see is only the surface. The real story is buried underneath, in the long nights, the early mornings, the countless hours of unseen work. Success may look effortless, but it never is. It's built on invisible effort that no one applauded, no one recorded, no one even knew existed. If you want to change your life, don't start with big declarations. Start with small disciplines. Do what you said you would do, even when no one is there to remind you. Show up for yourself. Keep promises to yourself. Push a little harder when it would be easy to quit. That's how character is built, and character is the foundation of success. People often ask, what's the secret to success? Well, here it is. There is no secret. The truth is simple but hard. Do the right thing long enough, even when no one sees you doing it. Be faithful in the small things. Excellence is a habit, not an event. When you develop the discipline to act with excellence behind the scenes, your public life becomes a reflection of your private integrity. You don't have to chase success anymore. It starts to chase you. You become the kind of person opportunities are drawn to. Remember, life doesn't reward intention, it rewards action. It's not enough to dream, to wish, to hope. Everyone has dreams. The difference between a dreamer and a doer is what they do when no one is watching. Dreamers talk about what they'll do. Doers quietly build it. So tonight, when you go home, ask yourself a simple question. If no one ever knew what I was doing, would I still do it? If the answer is yes, you're on the path to real success. Because that's the kind of motivation that lasts, not the kind that depends on applause, but the kind that comes from within. Let your private effort be greater than your public display. Let your unseen work be your strongest asset. Let your consistency in the dark earn you credibility in the light. Because one day, when success finally shows up, when people say you're lucky, when they call you gifted, you'll smile because you'll know the truth. You'll know that it wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was the quiet work no one saw, the choices you made when no one was watching. And in that moment, you'll realize success was never hiding from you. It was waiting for you in the quiet hours, in the daily habits, in the moments of integrity when the world wasn't looking. That's where greatness begins. So go back to your life and build in silence. Read when others sleep. Work when others rest. Plan when others play. Stay true to your principles when others compromise. Be faithful when no one sees you. Because when the time is right, the world will see what you've been building all along. Success doesn't shout, it whispers. It whispers in the morning alarm that you don't ignore. It whispers in the decision to study instead of scroll. It whispers in the small, consistent choices that no one claps for. And those whispers, when repeated long enough, become a roar the world can't ignore. Your future is shaped not by what you do occasionally, but by what you do consistently. Keep building in silence. Keep refining your craft. Keep your word to yourself. Because one day, all that quiet effort will speak for you, louder than words ever could. Success is built in silence, not in the spotlight. Most people misunderstand where success truly begins. They think it starts when the lights come on, when the audience applauds, or when the results finally show. But that's not where the story begins. It's where it's revealed. The real work, the real transformation, happens long before the recognition. It happens in the quiet spaces where no one is paying attention, where the world is still asleep, and where only your discipline stands between you and your potential. Success is not a public event. It's a private process. It's what happens when you're alone with your thoughts, your plans, and your choices. The spotlight is seductive because it makes success look effortless. People see the end product and assume that's where greatness lies. They see the speech delivered flawlessly, but not the countless hours of preparation. They see the athlete performing with confidence, but not the early mornings of exhaustion and repetition. They see the polished performance, not the lonely practice. The truth is, the spotlight only amplifies what's already been built in silence. You can't fake in public what you haven't formed in private. If you try to, the pressure will expose the cracks. The spotlight doesn't create success, it reveals it. In the silence, you meet your real self. There's no applause to validate you, no criticism to guide you, no audience to impress. Just you and your habits. That's where honesty begins. You can't hide from yourself in the dark. You can either choose to confront your weaknesses or pretend they don't exist. The people who build lasting success are the ones who face themselves in those quiet moments and do the hard work that no one else will ever see. It's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's real. When you commit to the quiet work, you learn patience. You learn that progress isn't always visible, but it's always happening. Every repetition, every small act of consistency, every decision to keep going when you could have stopped adds up. The silence teaches you how to endure. It trains your mind to stay steady even when there's no external motivation. The spotlight feeds on attention, but silence feeds on discipline. And discipline lasts longer than motivation ever will. Think about the great musicians, writers, leaders, and athletes of the world. What separates them from everyone else isn't just talent. It's devotion to practice when no one is around to cheer them on. They understand that mastery is built in private. They fall in love with the process long before the outcome arrives. The world celebrates their success, but they know the truth: the success was built in the unseen hours. The applause is just the echo of all the quiet work they did when no one was listening. The silence also has a way of revealing what truly drives you. When there's no external validation, you find out whether you're driven by passion or by praise. If you only work hard when others are watching, your motivation will always depend on other people. But if you can work with the same intensity when no one is watching, you've found something deeper. That kind of drive can't be bought, faked, or borrowed. It's self-generated. And that's the power that keeps you moving forward even when life gets hard. In a world that glorifies visibility, it's easy to believe that if no one sees your effort, it doesn't matter. But the truth is, everything that matters starts unseen. Seeds grow underground. Muscles grow in recovery. Character grows in solitude. You don't need to be seen to make progress. You need to be consistent. The silence is not a punishment. It's preparation. It's the furnace where strength is forged. The people who understand this principle don't chase the spotlight. They prepare for it. They're not obsessed with being noticed. They're obsessed with being ready. Because when the opportunity comes, there's no time to prepare. You either did the work or you didn't. The spotlight doesn't wait for you to get ready. It just shows up. And when it does, it reveals exactly what's inside. If you've built in silence, you'll stand strong. If you've neglected the quiet work, the light will expose that too. Building success in silence requires trust. Trust in the process, trust in yourself, and trust that the reward will come at the right time. You have to believe that your work has value, even when it's invisible. You have to keep going when there's no proof it's working. That's what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. Most people quit because they can't see the progress. They think silence means nothing's happening, but silence is where everything's happening. Growth doesn't make noise. Transformation doesn't announce itself. It just builds quietly until one day it shows up as something undeniable. When you build in silence, you also protect your focus. The spotlight brings distractions, opinions, comparisons, expectations. But silence is pure. It's just you and your purpose. It's where you can think clearly, plan deeply, and act deliberately. The more time you spend in silence, the stronger your foundation becomes. And when the spotlight eventually finds you, it won't shake you. Because your identity won't depend on attention. It will depend on the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've done the work. There's also a certain peace that comes from silent progress. You stop needing validation because your effort becomes your reward. You start to enjoy the process itself. You realize that every small action, reading one more page, practicing one more hour, making one more call, matters. You begin to respect the power of daily effort. And when you stack enough quiet days together, you create momentum that no one can stop. The spotlight might bring you recognition, but the silence gives you resilience. When you've trained yourself to work without applause, you become unstoppable. You don't need anyone to tell you to keep going. You already decided that long ago. You don't need to prove anything. You just need to perform. Because when you've built something in silence, it's built to last. Success built in the spotlight often fades as quickly as it came. It's fragile because it's built on perception, not preparation. But success built in silence is different. It's steady, strong, and self-sustaining. It doesn't depend on popularity or praise. It stands on the foundation of discipline and authenticity. You can always tell the difference between someone who built in silence and someone who didn't. The one who didn't is easily shaken. A little criticism, a little failure, a little pressure, and they crumble. But the one who built in silence, who worked without needing applause, they can face anything. They've already proven to themselves that they can endure without approval. The world can't give them validation because they've already earned it privately. Building in silence also teaches humility. When you work without an audience, you learn to respect the process, not just the result. You stop needing to be right away and start focusing on being consistent. You stop chasing recognition and start chasing growth. And over time, that humility becomes one of your greatest strengths. Because while others are busy showing off, you're busy showing up. Silence demands discipline, and discipline demands sacrifice. It's not easy to wake up early when no one will notice. It's not easy to keep practicing when no one claps. But every time you choose effort over excuses, you're investing in your future self. You're building credibility with yourself. And that's the most valuable kind of credibility there is. When the spotlight finally comes, and it will, you won't have to fake confidence. You'll already have it. You'll know that the success people see is only a fraction of the story. You'll know that the real victory happened long before the stage, long before the applause, long before the recognition. It happened in silence, in the moments when no one was watching, when you could have quit but didn't, when you could have coasted but kept pushing. Success is built in silence because silence builds strength, and strength is what sustains success. The noise will come later. The applause, the praise, the recognition. But by then, you won't need it. You'll already have everything that truly matters. The discipline, the character, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've earned every bit of it. Quiet effort compounds louder than applause. The world loves noise, cheering crowds, flashing lights, and instant results. But the real magic doesn't happen in the noise. It happens in the quiet moments of steady, unseen effort. That's where growth begins, where confidence is built, and where character is formed. Most people underestimate the power of consistency because it doesn't give immediate feedback. You put in the work today, and nothing seems to change tomorrow. But just like compound interest, effort accumulates quietly, invisibly, until one day the results appear so powerfully that people think they came overnight. They didn't. They were built quietly, one disciplined act at a time. Applause feels good. It feeds the ego. It validates your work. It reminds you that others see your progress. But applause is temporary. It fades as soon as the crowd moves on to something else. Quiet effort, on the other hand, leaves permanent results. It doesn't depend on external approval. It depends on internal commitment. The person who learns to work without applause becomes unstoppable because their motivation doesn't come from being seen. It comes from becoming better. The applause is loud, but it doesn't last. The results of consistent effort echo much longer. Think about how nature works. The tallest trees don't grow overnight. For months, even years, their roots expand underground where no one can see them. They gather strength, stability, and nourishment in complete silence. And when the time is right, they break through the soil and reach for the sky. People see the tree and admire its height, but few understand how much quiet growth happened beneath the surface. That's how life works too. Your roots, your habits, your effort, your discipline determine how tall you can grow. And those roots are built in the quiet, not under the spotlight. When you put in quiet effort, you're making invisible deposits into your future success. Every hour of study, every repetition, every small improvement adds up. You might not see it right away, but it's accumulating. You're building momentum, and momentum is a powerful thing. Once it starts rolling, it becomes unstoppable. The challenge is that most people quit before the momentum has a chance to build. They stop because the applause hasn't come yet. They stop because progress feels invisible. But quiet effort is never wasted. It's always working, always adding up, always preparing you for the moment when everything aligns. Applause often tricks people into thinking they've arrived. The recognition gives them a temporary high, and they slow down. But success isn't about one great moment. It's about many small moments stacked together. Quiet effort keeps you grounded. It reminds you that there's always room to grow, always another level to reach. The more you focus on the work instead of the reward, the more powerful your results become. You don't need the applause to keep going. You just need the awareness that every small step matters. Quiet effort is what separates professionals from amateurs. The amateur works hard when it's exciting. The professional works hard even when it's boring. The amateur chases applause. The professional chases improvement. When you focus on quiet effort, you start to understand that mastery is built on repetition, not recognition. It's the daily grind, the small adjustments, the invisible sacrifices that create lasting success. The applause might recognize your performance, but it's your persistence that makes it possible. There's something deeply powerful about showing up when no one expects you to. When you train alone, study alone, practice alone, you're not just improving your skills, you're building discipline. You're teaching yourself that progress doesn't require an audience. That's when you truly grow, because you no longer depend on external motivation. You start to enjoy the process itself. You find meaning in the effort, not just the outcome. That's the kind of growth that compounds. It doesn't fade when the attention fades. It gets stronger. In a world that moves fast, people crave instant gratification. They want quick results and quick praise. But real success doesn't work that way. Quiet effort is slow, deliberate, and often thankless. You'll spend days, weeks, or even years working without recognition. And then, suddenly, something shifts. The effort that felt invisible starts to show up everywhere. In your results, your confidence, your opportunities. People will call it talent or luck, but it won't be either. It'll be the compound effect of all those quiet hours no one else saw. The beauty of quiet effort is that it doesn't need validation. It doesn't demand applause. It's driven by purpose, not pride. When you work quietly, you focus entirely on growth, not image. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're trying to improve yourself. And when improvement becomes your goal, excellence becomes your standard. The applause may come later, but it will come as a side effect, not the reason. Quiet effort compounds because of consistency. The small things you do every day, even when you don't feel like it, have more power than the big things you do occasionally. 10 minutes of focus daily beats 1 hour of distraction once a week. The power of consistency is that it builds habits, and habits eventually shape your identity. You become what you repeatedly do. If you practice discipline daily, discipline becomes natural. If you practice quitting when things get hard, quitting becomes a habit too. The choice is always yours. Applause focuses on the outcome. Quiet effort focuses on the process, and the process is where mastery lies. The world might only see the final performance, but the performer knows it's the endless rehearsals that made it possible. When you learn to love the grind, the outcome becomes inevitable. You stop chasing success and start creating it. That's the true meaning of compounding effort. Every day adds a layer. Every action strengthens the foundation, and over time, those layers turn into unshakable excellence. There's also a quiet confidence that comes from working in silence. You start trusting yourself more. You don't need to prove anything to anyone because you already know what you've done. You've seen your own effort. You've felt the growth. That kind of confidence is real. It's not borrowed from compliments or approval. It's earned, and it stays with you even when no one's cheering. The problem with applause is that it's external. It depends on others. The problem with quiet effort is that it's internal. It depends on you. But that's also what makes it powerful. You control it completely. You can always decide to do a little more, to try a little harder, to stay a little longer. Every time you make that decision, you're investing in your future self. You're building habits that compound. You're creating a reputation with yourself that says, I can count on me. Quiet effort also builds resilience. When you work in silence, you face your own doubts, distractions, and weaknesses. You learn to overcome them without needing encouragement. You develop inner toughness. The applause may fade, but the resilience stays. That's why the people who work hardest in private are the ones who handle pressure best in public. They've already faced the hard moments when no one was there to help. They know how to endure. Applause might make you popular for a moment, but quiet effort makes you powerful for a lifetime. The applause can boost your ego, but it won't build your foundation. Only effort does that. Every quiet moment of dedication is like a brick laid carefully into the structure of your success. Brick by brick, day by day, you're building something solid, something permanent. Others might not notice the work, but they'll notice the result. It's easy to get caught up in wanting people to see how hard you work. But the truth is, the people who matter will see it eventually. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to post it. You just have to live it. The results will speak louder than any words ever could.